So welcome everyone to the First Nations information session on extreme cold and winter weather. My name's Casey La Rochelle. I'm from the Haisla Nation, and I work and live and have grown up in Nanaimo territory, mainly in Nanaimo, where I work remotely. And I'm with strategic partnerships with Finesse, and happy to be doing what we can to support these workshops for the bands in BC. I'll just quickly go over the agenda. We'll start with introductions, and if you could consider sharing information on the position you have in your community. The expectations of the meeting is always good for us to know, and a question that you may have about extreme cold or winter weather. And then our first presentation will be on the new PreparedBC Severe Winter Weather and Storm Preparedness Guide. Rachel from the EMCR will be doing that one. And then the next topic will be community preparedness planning for extreme cold winter weather. Daryl from Lillooet Tribal Council, though it may have a bit of a fire twist on it too. And then if we have any of our government partners on there, we always talk about funding and supports provided. And I think hopefully we'll have EMCR and ISK comment on any of that if they are able to join our workshop. So I will go through my screen and ask people to introduce themselves and position. And I guess first, Rachel, we'll start with you from EMCR, just briefly who you are. And
Sure, thank you. So my name is Rachel Sheeler. I'm a public education officer with emergency management and climate readiness, and I work with the PreparedBC team. I'm joining you today from the traditional territory of the Squamish First Nation, and I'm excited to hear a little bit more about your winter questions. Hopefully we can answer them through the presentations today. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Rachel. Daryl.
Hey, thanks, Casey. Yeah, Daryl Agin, the Lillooet Tribal Council Emergency Management Coordinator, and yeah, also here to present, but also here to listen and learn as well. Thanks.
Awesome. Sabrina Elliott.
Native, CMCA, Antapathastanat, Tanitana, Komiakin. My traditional name is Thostonot. My English name is Sabrina Elliott, born and raised here in the Cowichan Valley on the Komiakin Reserve. I have been with Cowichan Tribes for about 3 years now, working and responding to emergencies, mainly flood. I've been the liaison. I have been the engagement coordinator and currently the emergency program admin specialist. I'm finally full-time here, so I have the luxury of benefits and vacation and stuff now, so I'm excited, moving up in the world. We've had 4 house fires the past year, and I was able to respond with some, we have care packages here that we have ready for the members, ensure that they get the right accommodation needed. We have large families here in the valley, so when you're trying to accommodate large families, it can be quite tricky with limited hotels. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Thank you, Sabrina. It's great to see all the capacity and all the good work that Cowichan's doing. Travis Abbey.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm not sure what's happening with my video, to be honest. Just calling in from the Skeetchson Natural Resources this morning. I'm the emergency program coordinator on site here for the last 9 months or so. Looking forward to the conversation. Thanks.
Thank you, Travis. Tara W. from Quatsino.
I'm Kara Wilson. I am the Epic Champion for Quatsino and looking to see what I can do to help with the community.
Thank you for joining us from North Vancouver Island. Anthony Hadfield. Good to see you, Anthony.
Hi, Casey. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, Anthony Hadfield, currently the Manager of Emergency Management for ISK BC Region. been in the position since March, although it's flown by. Lots happened in the last 6 months. Really happy to be here. Really good opportunity, Casey. Thanks for setting this up. Also want to acknowledge that I'm on the traditional territory of the Katzie First Nation here in the beautiful Fraser Valley.
Good to see you, Anthony. Denova Collins. If you're able to introduce yourself.
Just had to unmute myself. Sorry about that. Denova Collins, Tecumlips to Squamick, Emergency and Community Support Assistant with our Emergency Preparedness Program. Shane Wardrobe was unable to attend today, so I'm taking notes for him.
Awesome. Nice to see you. Michelle Jacobs with Finesse.
Good morning, Michelle Jacobs. I'm Decision Support Team Technical Trainer, just here to listen and learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. James Fothergill Brown.
Hi, James Fothergill Brown here with Dididot First Nation. I'm the Emergency Services Coordinator. And going through the Village Emergency Response Plan, there's no contingency for cold weather. So I'm hoping that this talk will be fruitful. Thank you.
Good to see you. Kathy Robinson.
Hi, good morning, Casey. I'm Kath Robinson, Emergency Program Coordinator here in Hartley Bay, and I look forward to getting some information from the session. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Allison Post, EMCR.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Allison Post. I am grateful to live and work on the lands of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples and the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations. I am with strategic partnerships with EMCR and really looking forward to learning from you all about best practices and how we can hopefully incorporate those and continue learning from each other. Thank you very much.
Good to see you on, and I'm not sure if Ian's on the call to speak about any EMCR supports or anything, but if he's not, hopefully some of the EMCR. Oh, there we go. Ian, I spoke too soon. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Oh, good. Yeah, sorry, Casey snuck in a little after 10. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ian Cunnings. I'm the Senior Director for Response Operations at EMCR, and very happy to be calling in on the Kwantlen, Semiahmoo, and Katzie unceded and traditional territories, where I have the opportunity to live, work, and play, and looking forward to providing an update this morning on our current warming center guidelines. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you, Ian. Chris Ross, FNHA.
Good morning. This is Chris Ross calling in from FNHA. I am happy and proud to be living in the traditional territory of the Kikap people. I am a little under the weather, so please excuse me if I keep my camera off today.
Good to see FNHA here. Susan, sorry, I don't see a last name.
Good morning. Susan Napoleon, Lillooet Education Coordinator, EOC Director, along with many other hats. I've been in this position since, or doing EOC since 2004, and looking forward to just more information on this subject today. So, Cookstrom.
Nice to have you here. Tanya Collins.
Good morning, everyone. Tanya Collins, and I'm the Emergency Program Coordinator with Lytton First Nation.
Good to see you. Stephanie Louie, Tleekit Administration.
Hi there, Stephanie Louie. I'm the Lands and Natural Resources Officer. For Jacobs, I work alongside Susan. I'm her deputy. Just looking forward to learning today. I didn't know that this could possibly be an issue, hey? Cold. So I'm glad that we're visiting it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Montgomery Bjornson.
Sorry about that. I'm off mute now. Good morning. My name is Montgomery Bjornson. I'm calling today from the traditional territories of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, known also as the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations. I'm a community recovery coordinator with the provincial recovery team at EMCR, so I'm very pleased to be here to listen and learn, and also to speak to any recovery-related questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam Ethier. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
All good. I'm Adam Ethier. I'm the new manager of IT asset and emergency management with Clett Tenaya here in Prince George. I'm here to learn about a whole bunch of winter things that I'm going to have to deal with. I hope I don't have to deal with, but that we can be prepared for over the winter if they do happen. So excited to be here.
Good to see you again. Zaina West.
Good morning. I'm Zaina West. I work for the Mowachac-Matchalak First Nation here in Siksana, just outside of Gold River. I am their occupational health and safety officer as well as emergency preparedness officer. I am interested in learning about the cold here too because I'm a prairie girl. So and this is my first full winter living on Vancouver Island. So I just want to learn kind of the differences in emergency preparedness between like crazy winter, freezing cold weather to more wet, warmer, cold, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Very, very good to have you. Julia Robertson.
Hi, my name is Julie Robertson. I'm a member of the Weewick First Nations, but in Victoria, working for the Friendship Centers and just here to learn how our Friendship Centers can better prepare for this. Thank you.
Good to have you on it. Sorry, I called you Julia. Clint Williams, good to see you.
Good morning. Clint Williams with the Nixonat Travel Council. Here, obviously, on behalf of the Nixonat Council and its member nations, and looking to gather any information that may be helpful to our member communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Clint. You came through quite faint on my end, so maybe during the presentation, I'll monitor the chat if you have a question that we may not be able to hear too well. Kevin Sampson.
Good morning, Kevin Sampson, one of the 12 band counselors for Lytton First Nation. I'm also the emergency program manager for Intlakatm Health Services Society. Just here for some informational purposes, so Cooksham.
Thank you very much. Breezy Webster.
Breezy introduced herself in the chat. She said that she'll have to step away at some time.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I saw that. Would you like to introduce yourself? You're up next.
Hello all, I'm Dale Gansfeld. I'm the emergency recovery assistant to Jenna Nopin, who's away today, so I'll just be sitting in for her.
Good to have you. Brett Uphill. Brett, we can always circle back. You're multitasking.
Oh, how's that? Sorry about that.
Perfect.
QCQ, my name is Brett Uphill. I'm the manager of fire and emergency services with Yakitek Nakliet, which is in the Tobacco Plains area, southeast BC. Thanks.
Thank you. Stephanie Ford.
Good morning, everyone. Stephanie Ford with Finesse, Community Recovery and ESS Specialist based out of Vancouver Island, calling in from the traditional territory of the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations. Thank you.
Good to have you, Stephanie. Dakota Castanguay. I think I might have got that okay.
You're pretty close. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dakota Castonge. I am the Community Support Assistant for the Emergency Planning Secretariat for the operating off of the Sumas First Nations. I am a member of the Sapataway Cree Nation out of Pelican Rapids. Looking forward to learn today. This is my official second week on the job.
Welcome. Tina Wesley. You might be on mute, Tina. I'm not sure if you are. And we can circle back to you. We'll circle back. Oh, here we go. Tina, are you able to introduce yourself? We'll circle back. Kay Bright.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kay Bright. I am the Regional Preparedness and Specialist for the Northwest and Northeast region. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Kay. Wendy from Finesse.
Oh, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I came in a bit late. We were just on another call. So my name is Wendy. I'm USO Training Officer for Finesse under Preparedness.
Good to see you. Albert Hochlet.
Good morning, everyone. Albert Naknakin from Haklip First Nations. I am the Emergency Program Coordinator here.
Good to see you. If I can circle back to Tina or anyone else who hasn't had a chance to introduce himself.
Let's try this. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Oh, good. It's just audio stuff here. Yep. My name is Tina. I am the Marine Emergency Response Manager. I'm also the Emergency Manager, so I do land and water for Nanaimo First Nations.
Good to have you on. Last call for anyone that I've missed before we move on to the next agenda. Go ahead, Nicole.
Good morning, Nicole Napoleon. Sorry I'm late. I'm the medical clerk here at the TTK administration in Lillooet.
Good to have you. And if there are no others, we can move on to agenda topic number 2. Rachel from EMCR. She will cover the PreparedBC severe winter weather and storm preparedness. Rachel, if you want to take it away and maybe screen share.
Perfect, thank you. It was nice to do a round of introductions and get a better sense of everyone who's here. Just give me a second.
We can see it.
All right. Okay, amazing, thanks. All right, so as I mentioned in my introduction, my name is Rachel Sheeler, and I'm a public education officer with the Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness. And today I'm going to share the new Severe Winter Weather and Storm Preparedness Guide with you. But before I do that, I'm just going to give a little bit more background about myself and my team at Emergency Management and Climate Readiness. So I work alongside the public education team, and we develop educational materials to raise awareness of personal preparedness for emergencies. And all of these materials are shared with the public under PreparedBC. So just a quick question to all the folks on the call. If anyone has heard of PreparedBC before, or if you've used any of the PreparedBC resources, I'd love to get a little thumbs up or a comment in the chat if you have a favorite resource. It's really helpful for us to know which resources are being used, if there's awareness of the education program. And of course, seeing that other people are using the materials often encourages other folks to use them. So do feel free to type into the chat, or like I said, just give me a thumbs up if you've heard of PreparedBC before. And while folks are working on that, I will circle back to some comments. But just for folks who may not know, PreparedBC is British Columbia's emergency preparedness education program, and we serve the general public, local governments, First Nations communities, and schools. And our program's goal is to prompt behavior change by identifying and modeling the steps that people can take to prepare themselves, their homes, and their communities. And we have a strong online presence, which you can see on the slide here, our website and social media accounts. So you can follow along for some really great emergency preparedness content. We also write social media toolkits that are available for you to use that also live on our website. We lead educational programs like Tsunami Preparedness Week and High Ground Hike, and then we also support regional operations with in-person outreach and partner relations as well. And I'm seeing a couple of some thumbs up, an exclamation mark, all caps, yes, thank you. A comment here that the wildfire booklet has been used, that's wonderful. And then another comment that community, or that the materials have been sent out to community members and have them on hand at events, which is awesome. That's great to hear. That's what these resources are for. And I'll just say that what we're best known for is our library of preparedness guides, which was mentioned here, one of our wildfire preparedness book. All of these guides, they address BC's top hazards. So there is one for wildfire, there's one for extreme heat, earthquakes and tsunamis. And then today we're going to talk about our newest one, which is severe winter weather and storms. So when you hear severe winter weather and storm preparedness, what comes to mind? Again, I'll ask you just to type in the chat, or if you're more comfortable, also feel free to unmute and just share. But are there certain weather events that come to mind, specific preparedness steps that come to mind, things that you feel like you're really ready for, or things that you're not ready for? I'll just give folks a chance to type in the chat. We've got motor vehicle incidents, yeah. High winds, yeah. I live in Squamish and we had really high winds last week. Oops, my chat is all over the place. An emergency kit in your van, great. We're going to talk a little bit about that today too. Extended power outages. That's definitely one I learned quite a bit about while writing this guide. It wasn't something I had experienced before, so hopefully I can share some of my learnings. Cold, extreme cold, high wind, heavy snow. Okay, great. Yeah, so as you can see through these comments, there's a lot of different things that come to mind when we talk about winter weather. It's not, it can be snow and it can be cold, but there's so much more to it, especially here in BC. We're so diverse across the province. Okay, so just a quick intro to emergency preparedness. When we talk about emergency preparedness, we like to break it down into 3 steps. So we start with knowing our hazards, 2nd, making a plan, and 3, gathering supplies. So as we've already touched on, across BC, the hazards that people face are different. So it's important to take the time to figure out what hazards could potentially happen in our communities and then how to best prepare for those. When it comes to making a plan, it's really important because emergencies often happen when we don't expect them. We could be at home, we could be at the office, we could be at the gym, and we might not be with the people we live with. So a plan helps us to be prepared for all sorts of different types of situations. And I'll share a link at the end of this presentation, but PreparedBC also has a really great fill-in-the-blanks home emergency plan that helps get you started on writing that information down. And then the 3rd step is gathering supplies to build your emergency kit and grab-and-go bags, which I will talk about a little bit later in the presentation too. So if we think about the first step and take a look at this slide here, which features the top 10 hazards in BC, with a closer look, you can see that 5 of the top 10 hazards are likely to occur during the winter months. So this shows that severe winter weather and storm preparedness really is for everybody. It doesn't, as I said before, need to mean extreme cold or snowfall warnings, although it can. It can also mean high winds and power outages and heavy rainfall. So this makes the Severe Winter Weather and Storm Guide a really useful resource for everyone who lives in the province and folks who are visiting as well. And then if we take just a quick look at the second step, which is making a plan, PreparedBC actually conducted a personal preparedness survey in 2017, which was a little while ago, but still useful information to reflect on. And we did the survey to understand whether British Columbians were ready for emergencies. And the results showed that many weren't completely prepared. So we had 54% of British Columbians say that their household had an emergency response plan, although only 13% described it as complete. And among those with a plan, only about 1/3 said that at least some of it was written down. So, I mean, writing an emergency plan can feel overwhelming. Hoping that as we talk through the presentation today, can take down some of those barriers. But if anyone feels comfortable and wants to share in the chat whether or not they have an emergency plan or emergency kit, feel free to do so. Or if there's barriers that are holding you back or barriers you feel that are holding your community back, also share that too, so that we can see what other people are dealing with as well. I see a hand up. Nicole, do you want to make a comment on that?
Hi, yes. So I have two daughters, and one is just turned 14 and one is 5. And I actually had to go through their clothes because we did have an emergency kit over the summer, just due to the situations that were happening around us. But my daughters were growing so fast, I didn't get a chance to like change their clothes up because they've grown extremely since the last time I prepared the kit. So that's just something I wanted to remind people of, is make sure you're getting clothes that are still fitting your younger children if you have kids to prepare for, and then to make sure you have clothes for yourself, because I realized that I got the girls' kits together, but I didn't get mine exactly the same as I would have done for them. Like I didn't have enough of everything for myself, whereas the kids' clothes were like fitting way too small by the time if we had to go out, then we still would have needed to get assistance for the clothes.
Yeah, that's a really great reminder to remember that you have an emergency kit and to check in on it, check for sizes. You can also swap out clothes depending on seasons. So we usually encourage people to check it around daylight savings time or when the seasons change, and then you can swap out summer clothes for winter clothes. Thank you for sharing that. Sabrina, do you have a comment?
I do. So we have these printed and we hand them out to community members as a resource to get feedback of the barriers people face when they do an emergency response plan. And the huge concern for a lot of our members here in Duncan is access. So when we face flooding, we are completely cut off both north and south. And traffic here is already really bad. So the big question is, what are we going to do? Like, where can we go? And in the 2020 flood, we've seen that we were cut off on both directions. And then the other huge barrier that we faced was accommodation. We don't really have any accommodation here. So when we faced massive flooding, it was filled up completely. So that was sort of the feedback from the community when we went through these emergency response plans with them, and even went through them with the kids and got their feedback.
Great.
They really appreciate it. And
yeah, that's amazing you were able to capture that feedback. It's really important to do and helpful to identify what those barriers are so that conversations and hopefully solutions can happen before another emergency may happen. That's a really great idea. Susan?
Yes, good morning. The other one I was gonna say was also check your batteries for expiry dates.
Yeah.
And don't forget about your pets, because they need an emergency kit too. And medications. Put medications in your emergency kit. Thank you.
Thank you. These are all really great suggestions to check the batteries, check your food also for expiry. And then, yeah, of course, remember the pets and animals you may have, and medications as well. Those are really great. Thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to share here quickly before I jump into the actual guide, some misconceptions about emergency preparedness. And like I said before, the hope is that with PreparedBC resources, we can make emergency preparedness more accessible and immediate, and help us identify where maybe we do have barriers, or there's certain situations that we need to work on solutions beforehand. It's not always going to be as easy as fill in the blanks and have it done right away, but it will help to bring up those questions that we might not have the answers to yet, so we can be ahead or be prepared ahead of an emergency. All right, so let's jump into the guide a little bit here. Like I said, the guide is brand new. It just came out at the end of October, and it's meant for folks who live in BC or are visiting BC during the winter months. So it's directed towards quite a broad audience, but the focus is definitely on personal preparedness. It follows the before, during, and after structure. So it has tips on what to do before, during, and after severe winter weather, storms, and power outages. And the guide itself was written with feedback from a number of partners and organizations like Finesse, the BC CDC, Environment and Climate Change Canada, the First Nations Health Authority, and more. So big thanks to everyone who helped to provide some feedback and make this guide as useful as possible. So the way the guide is structured, as I mentioned, is in this before, during, and after structure. And so it starts with an introduction to winter weather hazards, kind of like how we started this presentation talking about the different hazards we might face. And then it jumps into these before preparedness steps. So we have make a plan, and this gives us an opportunity to take into account some winter specific considerations for our emergency plans. Like what was mentioned, if driving or walking is dangerous or not accessible due to conditions, what are our next steps? Or if phone, gas, electric, and water services are disrupted because of a power outage, how are we going to communicate with each other? How are we going to stay warm? So the guide makes it really easy to have these types of conversations and then start literally checking the check boxes. As you can see in the image on the slide, there are places in the guide where you can write in it yourself to help you through the planning process. Next, identify a winter weather buddy. So it's so important to know our neighbors and our community members. And if you or someone you know lives alone or experiences mobility challenges, check in on each other. Your winter weather buddy should be able to help with clearing snow or gathering supplies if you can't leave home. And we can all support each other in this one. We also encourage you to take action to prepare your home. So you can take steps like insulating walls and attics or applying weather stripping along doors and windows. And there are some rebates, like insulation and heat rebate programs. So I'd also encourage you to check in with your service providers for info on that if you are putting some work into winterizing your home. There's details on that in the guide as well. And then, as I mentioned at the very beginning, power outages, and there were a couple of comments about that in the chat too. But power outages can be really scary, especially prolonged power outages. So, consider how you'll stay warm if the power is out. And the guide also talks about the hazards of carbon monoxide poisoning. So also ensuring that you have carbon monoxide detectors and that you're never heating your home with a gas stovetop or oven. Don't use camp stoves or barbecues indoors. Yeah, do those things to stay safe and avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. And then also if you or someone you know relies on medical equipment, or power for medical equipment or for mobility, again, like having those conversations now ahead of time about what you'll do if the power goes out, to help ensure that those supplies can continue to run. And then both of these points are also reminders to gather supplies, which we had some really great suggestions on already. I'll just share this slide. It's an image of the basic items to include in your emergency kit. Often these items can already be found around your home. It's just a matter of putting them together in one spot. You can also talk to your neighbors about sharing resources or collecting these things over time. Again, it can feel like a lot to have to set aside a day to put this together, but it is something that you can do over time. And with an emergency kit, I also like to encourage people to include some comfort items like games or food, maybe even books, to get some comfort in those really challenging situations. So if anyone here has an emergency kit already and has included some of those comfort items in their kit, again, feel free to share. You can raise your hand or type in the chat any comfort items you have in your kits. I have chocolate in mine. I have a really big sweet tooth, and so I've put some chocolate in there to help get some comfort in some potentially challenging situations. So I encourage you all to do the same. And then here's also an image of the items to include in your grab-and-go bag. So this is what you would take with you if you needed to leave home quickly, like for example, in a flood. And as we discussed already, it's really important to check your emergency kits in your grab-and-go bags, swap out the clothes, swap out the food and water if you need to. And I saw a comment come through. The schools have asked to add a picture of their family. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, exactly. Photos, having a photo or a book, something to just take your mind off the situation for a little while can go a long way. That's a really great suggestion. Thank you, Sabrina. All right, so whoops, just about done here. I just have a couple more slides to give you a look at what else is in the guide. So there is a section on preparing your vehicle, reminding you to ensure your vehicle is prepared for winter with proper maintenance and that you have an emergency kit in your car, which somebody already commented on. And having winter-specific items in that emergency kit, like sand for better traction or a shovel, even extra clothes, is really important just in case you get stuck in your vehicle for some reason. And then also preparing to stay warm if you're outside for work or recreation. Slips and falls are a big hazard during winter weather, so a pair of sturdy boots with good traction goes a long way. Also reflective clothing so cars can see you. And then of course, if you're heading out into the backcountry, checking in with Avalanche Canada is also a really important preparedness step. And then last, once we've taken all these before steps, the next thing to consider is what we should be doing when severe winter weather or storms arrive. And the best action for you to take is to activate the emergency plan that you have and then follow all alerts and advisories. So on this slide here, you can see a list of trusted sources that we included in the guide. This is a graphic that came straight from the guide, but we also encourage people to follow instructions from their First Nation or local government for community-specific considerations. So making sure people know how you're going to communicate with them in an emergency is really key, because this is how they're going to know what actions to take next. And then the guide does wrap up with a reminder to restock supplies and then revisit emergency plans, and has some links to additional resources as well. And I know, obviously that was quick and I ran through the information pretty fast and didn't give you all of the details, but hopefully this sparked some interest and you're keen to read through it and share. And, you know, if it sparked more questions, that's a good thing too. I can do my best to try and answer what I can, but it might open some more room for conversations within your community as well. Daryl, do you have a question?
Yes, where's the mute button? So thanks, Rachel and Casey, for that. But just I heard as we were going through the introductions, we had a number of new folks on the call as well. So Rachel, could you just briefly explain how anybody would go about ordering something like this, or other manuals, the link, the website, even the search bar when you get there, sort of things like that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're ahead of me. I'm almost there.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're all good. Yeah, I just have 2 more slides here. I'll share that along with the guide, there are some other severe winter weather resources available. I shared these slides with Casey, so they'll be shared hopefully with everyone who attended the call. And the links in the slide will work, so they'll just link you directly to where you need to be. But the preparedness guide is available online in digital format, but it can also be ordered in print format and shipped to you for free. So I will share my email address in the next slide and in the chat as well. So if you're interested in printed copies for yourself or for your community, just let me know and I can make sure they get shipped to you. And then there's also a link in there to the fill in the blanks home emergency plan, which I mentioned earlier. And again, those are also available in print copies if you'd like some for some hard copies for your community. And then there's also 2 websites you can see on the slide here, one about winter weather and one about power outages that you can link directly to for more information. And there is a severe winter weather and storm social media toolkit. So that's pre-written content and graphics that you can use on your social media accounts to help with winter weather and storm preparedness in your communities. So check that out and feel free to use and share those resources on your own accounts. And then lastly, share far and wide. If you know, this has sparked some interest, share it with your community. Obviously, encourage you also to talk it through with everybody that you live with as well. And just a reminder that winter is coming. You know, we already had some pretty wet weeks. I don't know about you, but it was below 0 for me this morning, so it's getting chilly. And it's important to take action now to be prepared. And then I'll leave you just here with some of our contact information. As I said, feel free to ask questions. You can ask today, but please reach out at any time on any resources that PreparedBC has. It doesn't have to be winter weather specific. Well, I think someone maybe just off mute.
Sorry.
It's okay. But yes, my contact info is here. So if you'd like to order guides, please reach out and I can make sure they get out and shipped to you. Otherwise, thank you so much for having me. I'll be around for the whole webinar if any other questions come up.
Thank you, Rachel. And I just put in the chat that I'll include your presentation and probably some response material and a link to this recording, and I'll send that out once I get the link and edits done to this recording to the email list for the circle. Before we move on to the next topic, are there any final questions on this presentation? for Rachel? It's okay if there's not, and it's okay even if you ask him later on. And we had some new people join, so if you haven't introduced yourself, maybe raise your hand and explain kind of who you are, if you can share, and the type of work you do, and any questions you have on extreme cold and winter weather preparedness. I know we had a bunch of people join us, so I'd like to briefly open that up for introductions, if you haven't. And it's okay if we move on. So the next topic is community preparedness planning for extreme cold and winter weather. Daryl Adrian, emergency management coordinator with Lillooet Tribal Council, and I think he also will talk about fire as well. Go ahead, Daryl.
Okay, there we go.
We could see and hear you.
Okay, so you got my my first slide there. I've only got a few slides, so should be relatively quick. Yeah, so thanks, Casey. Daryl Adrian, born and raised here in the St'át'imc territory, living in Lillooet, originally from the community of Chilliwack, which is one of 11 St'át'imc communities. I spent 24 years with BC Wildfire Service. I was the unit crew. I was on the initial attack crews. I was a wildfire assistant, the plans chief, and incident commander. 2013, I joined Finesse for some winter work because obviously wildfires in the summer. I started doing some presentations with education awareness with Fire Smart through Finesse around the province to the communities. And it's kind of stuck with me ever since. Now here at the Tribal Council as the Emergency Management Coordinator, supporting the 6 St'át'imc communities and working with the District of Lillooet. As we know, emergencies do not care about boundaries. I'm really glad to see some familiar faces or some names on the call here. Really good turnout, I think. So in the name of preparedness, I'll get it going here, but I'm here to share some preparedness for winter, some experiences as well that kind of had here in the last couple of years. And if at any time, similar to Rachel's, just chime right in. If you got a question or a comment, you want to share a story, and don't be shy. Hit your unmute button or put your hand up. I think Casey can see the chat better than I can right now. So if anything comes up, Casey, just let me know. I'm happy to stop and allow somebody to share something that they want to share. So especially if it's a learning experience. If you've got something that you want to share that people will learn from, definitely jump right in. So can start with my images here. The two, one up in the left corner, the bottom right corner, definitely local. Some road closures that we had here in the last few years, some of the conditions that we experience here. But slide number one here is really just get to know your hazards. Very similar to the process that Rachel just went through there in that manual there. One of the first things that we came across in the manual was getting to know your hazards, and in any plan, getting to know your hazards. So just going to run through a few common ones, and yeah, like I said, at any point, just feel free to jump in and stop me at any point. So extreme, I don't know if you can see that one there, the freezing rain when I double clicked, but extreme cold conditions, definitely some cold temperatures and winds can make things feel a whole lot colder than they really are. Definitely get some of that here. I'm sure other folks get that as well as freezing rain. Creates that black ice, makes for some pretty dangerous road conditions. So if you really have to travel, be careful, and if you can't avoid it, find alternates or wait for highways to kind of throw down some of that de-ice through there before you make your trips. And snowstorms will be my next one here. So sudden or forecast that I saw, somebody put in there a heavy snowfall as an extreme snowy or winter event. Yeah, we definitely get that here. Lillooet, we don't really get a lot of snow down here in Lillooet, but when it comes, we usually get a pretty good dump of it, a couple of days. Over a couple of days. So it typically takes the snowplow people and removers there a few days, not a few days, sorry, it takes them a little while to get things cleaned up there. And some high winds. I put that in the chat box because both summer and winter, we do get high winds here, especially up in Susan and Nicole's area there. Wind never seems to stop up there. Just blows off the lake there. So yeah, we get that here, and it definitely makes the cold temperatures feel even colder. So always be prepared for that. Is it going to pop up? Fog, there it is. So fog, another big one here, especially down along the Fraser River, we'll get fog, and it definitely hard to see, makes visibility a little bit more challenging. You lose sight of those road lines pretty quickly. So just slow down and take care as you're driving along. Definitely road closures here around Lillooet, avalanches, landslides, extremely poor driving conditions. Modi may also close down some roads. You see this bottom left or bottom right corner, sorry, the truck working there. More than likely, they would have closed this road down, forecasting, an overnight avalanche, just based on the weather conditions and avalanche warnings. Oh, did the next one pop up? There it is. House fires. So it is sadly that time of the year when house fires become more common. Chimney fires, overloaded plugs, candles, and just to name a few, but definitely this is the season. We need to be a little more prepared and a little more cautious. Poor road driving conditions. I already named a few there, but yeah, if you need to shop, if you need to go get those essential supplies, get the hockey practice or bingo or something, just plan ahead, plan your whole trip out. Find out maybe, for an example, Susan and I live down here kind of in Lillooet. Let's say we decided to go up and visit Albert up in Fountain. Probably not a good idea if Susan took a little Suzuki car to go visit Albert, because he's probably buried in a couple of feet of snow up there. So different elevation, different road conditions for Lillooet and for Fountain there. So plan ahead. And power outages, see that image there, definitely something that occurs almost everywhere in the province, and you can follow all of those on BC Hydro's app there. You can also go on there to report, but you have to have an account with BC Hydro. So just, oops, I'm going to back that up because I wanted to ask the question if there's anything on here missing. I think we kind of went through that already, but yeah, just another opportunity if anybody had any more that they wanted to add or share. I don't know, Casey, did anything pop up in the chat box?
There's a question whether you said bingo, and I don't know if you did. I might have missed it.
I did say bingo, yeah. I know, yeah, there's some folks there that'll drive through those conditions. Got to get the bingo. Okay, so yeah, yeah, just watch out for and monitor those weather updates and those road conditions. Myself, I'm always forwarding those Environmental Canada weather notifications. If I get a notice from EMCR or weather or anything like that, I'm always forwarding those off, even if it means duplication of emails. Hopefully, folks like Albert and Susan, and don't curse at me for sending them a duplicate email, but just want to make sure the message is getting out there. So some of the winter hazards that we face here in the Stratlium each year, just the common ones here, not going to go through all of them here, obviously, but power outages. Like I said, I'm serving this, supporting 6 First Nation communities here, and each of them experience at least one power outage. Last year, we had quite a large power outage. We had a couple of planned ones, But then around that same time, we had a large power outage, and I forget what happened. I think it was a pole down out in the middle of Boone's country there somewhere. But between Lillooet and Clinton was all out. I think Jalath was the only one in our area here that was still had power. I remember messaging with my sister there, but yeah, that was a large power outage, and it was I think that went for 6-7 hours or something like that. I live in a little cul-de-sac, so our generating station is a little box outside of our house that serves all of our homes there, and that went out on us also last year too. So I at my house had about 4 power outages last year. Got to watch the crews work on that well into the night. I think it was around midnight, 1 o'clock before they finally got that little box changed out. They had to bring in a new box from a neighboring community somewhere. We definitely, you know, have a lot of trees coming down on our lines here. A lot of our roads are, you know, they're quite narrow roads, maybe 2-vehicle lane roads, but still quite narrow. Like in that last image we saw there, trees coming down. Power line snapping, I think I seen that in the chat earlier as well. Somebody was mentioning to the cold, the winds, just snapping older poles and things like that. I mean, there's a number of reasons why the power goes out, but yeah, that's just to name a couple right there. And if you ever come across a down power line, just please stay back, especially if it's kind of new, still active. If it's an emergency, dial 911. Or you can call the 1-800-BC Hydro number, or Star Hydro on your mobile device. And you can report it online, like I said, but you need to have that online account set up. Some of the poor driving conditions there. Oh, sorry, the last couple of bullets there. Just wanted to make sure everybody's, you know, considering that warming center. I'm gonna mention that a few times as I go along here, because I think that's pretty important. We did set up a few of those last year as well. Very similar to setting up a cooling center in the summertime, but that warming center is sure a good thing to do. Just open up the community rec center or the gymnasium or something like that, just for some soup and you know, snacks, drinks, places, people that come and congregate and kind of share, talk, whatever. Check on your neighbors, check on your elders and the vulnerable populations as well, during those power outages especially. So some more of the poor driving conditions. I know we kind of went through a few of them there already, but you know, like I said, with a sudden change in elevation, if I decided to go and visit Albert up in Fountain, definitely gonna have a different view of what the road conditions are like. Turn a corner here. If anybody's been through Lillooet, you turn a corner, you're sliding on ice, or there's some snow there. We definitely get freezing rain, so that black ice again. Almost all of our communities here have homes at higher elevations here. So yeah, everybody's either got somebody down bottom of the valley, or they've got somebody up on the higher elevations where they got to go and help them shovel snow or get rid of that ice. So a little fact about freezing rain, maybe some folks know this already, but freezing rain, when it comes down as first as snow, and then it'll hit a warm pocket of air that'll turn it into rain, and then it'll hit either another cold pocket of air, cold air, or else you know, hit that the freezing ground, and then that's when it turns into kind of that freezing rain, black ice kind of a stuff. So that warm pocket of air in the middle there, that's what the meteorologists watch out for when they call out for freezing rain conditions. And again, fog, like I mentioned, it gets pretty thick here, you know, especially when you're down along the Fraser River here. And then email updates from Modi, I get those quite regularly. I know the local guy here really well. We work together with forestry, and yeah, now so I've kept that relationship with him. I stop in there and visit him once in a while, and I call, text each other. So I do get those updates from him, and I recommend it. If you know your local person, or just make contact with somebody at your Modi division there, and try to keep on the ball with those things, so you get updates about how the roads are doing. And then yeah, we had that 2021 atmospheric river event here, like everybody else, I think. Here we had over 200 avalanches around our area here. Highway 99 Lillooet to Montgomery Pemberton had multiple slide sites, closed for 3 to 5 days. I was trying to remember how long that was closed, but I think it was something like 3 to 5 days that was closed off. We did lose some people on that road, unfortunately, and yeah, that was a tough one there. Highway 40 between Lillooet and Goldbridge. The Moha Road, the road with multiple names there, but that also had multiple slides, well over 100 slides along that road. That was closed a little bit longer, 7 to 10 days, and yeah, so that was closed for quite a while and blocked some folks off out there. Had to come up with some alternate plans to get them some essentials, foods and supplies and things like that. Highway 12 between Lytton and Lillooet also had some multiple slides, not as many as either Duffy or the Moha, but still enough to close it down for 3 to 5 days. And we also experienced that bit of an earth flow there, just to try to keep my terminology right, but the earth flow just meaning that the hillside where the road is kind of on the move. And it took the crews, I think, about 1.5 years. I think it's finally fixed now, but it's back to double lane. They had to close it down to a single lane there for a little while. I think another point to make too is just making sure that we get that terminology right between landslide, avalanche, floods, earth flows, and things like that. When you're requesting for assistance, we went through that a couple of years ago. I kept calling it floods and floods and floods, and then finally they told me, Daryl, you're not experiencing floods, you guys have landslides. So. Okay, had to get that terminology corrected. And then another note too, if you come across an avalanche or any kind of a debris flow, landslide, don't hang around, please. Just, stay in your vehicle, maybe take 1 or 2 pictures or whatever, but just get out of there. If it's not passable, don't hang around. Just turn around and kind of go, and then report it. But yeah, don't hang around, don't get out, don't go trying to walk through it or whatever, because you just don't know what's up above. Modi won't put crews back in there anyways until it's safe to do so, and it's not deemed safe until they have a full assessment done on the hillside above. So if it's blocked right off, there's no use hanging around. And then yeah, when Highway 40 was closed towards Goldbridge and over to Seatonport and Chillat, we kind of had to think outside the box there. So we had a couple of boats running through the winter, which was pretty cold, but we also have the shuttle service along the CN rail tracks that was also being used quite regularly. I think they added another trip onto that just to help keep getting the groceries, the foods and supplies over to the folks over in Seton Portage and Chillat there. So yeah, that boat ride was a little bit cold. People were bundling up in their blankets. How we doing, Casey?
We're doing good. And then I have a question for you and even the participants. Yep. If you want me to interject now or
sure,
just
right ahead.
I love the discussion so far. I think people have touched upon it. First Nations communities, the vulnerable people in communities, elders. And I wonder if you could elaborate, like we know extreme winter events and all the related things that happen, roads may be impassable, extended power outages. So could you tell a bit more, and if people can also put in the chat or raise their hand on the issues and impacts or supports that elders and other vulnerable people may need or may experience during the event and the related things that are going on, because I think that's really important.
Yeah, I can kind of kickstart that one there. I'll start with one of the we had a warming center opened up last year. No real incident going on, just the fact that we one of the communities wanted to open a warming center, invite some folks in. There was one elder that I think I forget why, but the heating wasn't working properly at their house, but they were refusing to leave. So thinking outside the box there on how, either try to get the elder out to come down to the warming center for a bit, hang out. But yeah, that elder just didn't want to go. So yeah, they had to I forget what they had to do. I think they brought a generator up there Albert, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm thinking about your community there. I think he brought a generator up there and then put some heaters into the house there. But yeah, I think we had to kind of work around that one there. And then yeah, especially when we had the road closures out towards St. Portage and Shelath, again, thinking outside the box, essential supplies, medications, prescriptions, things like that. I was making multiple trips myself here from get a phone call, because that's my home community. So it was easy enough for a few of them to call me up. Daryl, we're sending the boat in. Can you go up to the pharmacy and grab these supplies and those supplies for this name, that sort of a thing, right? And picking up, bags and bags of medications and cold and flu supplies and things like that, and bringing it out to the boat docks out in Seton Lake. So just thinking outside the box. We didn't use Voyant Alert last year, but definitely have it available if there's ever an extreme condition that comes suddenly, so we can get those messages out to folks right away, and as well as the emails. Yeah, I don't know, Case, how's that? Anybody else chime in?
Yeah, that's definitely a good start. From the participants, can you think of any other vulnerable groups in your communities and how to support them? I see in the chat source of heat and ways to make meals. When I've worked at bands, I know quite often they would have wood delivered to community, and members would come and cut up wood, and then they hired young backs and bodies to cut wood and deliver wood to elders who couldn't get it. That's always important. Source of heat with no wood stove, that's one. When I've worked at bands, even something as simple as hydro bills, believe it or not, when you're working for a band, you kind of get faced with everything, and people that are at risk of getting their heat cut off, and they can't pay it. I'm sure we've all experienced that. Anything else from the chat? It's okay, we can move on.
Yeah, I think generators too are another good one. Either those battery operated ones or the gas powered ones, but just ensuring that those things stay outdoors, and you just run your cords through a window or through the door or something like that, right? And yeah, like Rachel mentioned earlier, that carbon monoxide definitely you want to keep that stuff outside as much as possible.
And I see comments about resupplying, people opening up their gyms as warming centers, emergency centers, power outages, interrupting dialysis supply deliveries, and electronic dialysis machines not able to work. And then I know sometimes people that need their medicines and other supplies. And I know on the North Island, one year there was extended power outage and road outage, and I think they were flying in really urgently needed medications for people. Yeah, those are all good things. A comment about homelessness and provision of tents and sleeping bags, especially for the urban population. Yeah.
There's a community North Island there somewhere, Casey, maybe you know better than I do, but they had that drone, that kind of a expensive high-powered drone there to fly to the mainland, pick up a supply and fly it back out. Not a supply, but maybe single medication pickups or prescription pickups or something like that. But I was a part of that conversation last year, or a part of the meeting that they discussed that last year, which was I thought was a pretty neat idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know even things like it impacted the community with the EOC. They also looked at things like the ability to help get fuel resupply for gas powered generators and supplying it for people when power was out for a really, really long time. Maybe with ISK and EMCR, this might be a good segue for you to briefly comment on some key supports that might come into play?
Casey, would you like me to jump in first?
Sure.
Sure. So again, good morning, everyone. Great conversation and updates. Really appreciate what people have been sharing around their experiences. For EMCR, a few things. As always, if in doubt, please don't hesitate to give us a shout at 1-800-663-3456. We're always happy to chat and support and at least sleuth out what options may be, no matter what the emergency may be within community. I shared a couple of things in the link and something that's brand new, at least for me, as of this morning, with some extreme weather information on the Climate Ready BC page. Encourage everyone to take a look there. When it comes to operational support, EMCR continues to provide support for warming centers. And just want to make a distinction between warming centers and shelters. A warming center isn't a shelter. Shelters, there are supports for those through BC Housing and other organizations, but the EMCR operational support are for short-term warming centers, and there's a couple of things there. One, if a community already has a extreme weather plan and you've identified triggers for your warming centers, then our supports would kick in for those triggers. If you don't have an extreme weather plan, currently we're using the cold weather temperatures that are listed in the assistance to shelter regulation. So just wanted to kind of differentiate between the two warming centers, temporary location for people to get warm, and those can be as a result of things that already been talked about on this call, power outages being one, and there's a myriad of things. We provided some support recently during the slides on Highway 3 that led to a power outage and cooler temperatures in there. So in addition to our EOC supports, EMCR is able to provide supports for warming centers. And then there, through our Community Emergency Preparedness Fund, through UBCM, there's also some funding there that this group should be aware of. And Casey, I'll make sure I put the link in the chat there. Before I wrap up, I see Sabrina, your hand up there.
Hi, Ian. I'm just curious about the because I've been in discussion about the BC's Housing Extreme Weather Response Program. So they do not include 19 and under in their shelters that they're able to provide. And we have multiple organizations able to maybe accommodate 15 beds, but with 233 vulnerable populations in the Cowichan Valley, the EWR also has to do a temporary use permit. They are not allowed to rent a space with that funding. So there's a lot of red tape. So even though we have EMCR and we have BC Housing, and we have organizations dedicating time, money, and effort to try and help the vulnerable population. As the days get colder and colder, you're hitting a brick wall because we cannot rent a space and we cannot accommodate 19 and under. And then we have the substance users. Not too many are trained to handle them when they come in, and it's very scary. So I'm not too sure if people are having the same problems in their community or same red tape issues of the temporary use permit, not being able to rent a space through the BC Housing policy guide as per their funding requirements. And then, you know, we're getting continuously asked, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why isn't there a plan? Well, there's lots of plans. There's plans everywhere, but the policies are our barriers.
Yeah, and Sabrina, not the first time, particularly around shelters, that I've heard that. So I can say with confidence that you're not alone there. I do know that the various ministries are taking another look at trying to simplify and streamline supports for cold weather. And I'm hoping that we're going to hear more about that later this month. When it comes to warming centers, and I should have mentioned that if the emergency shelters are at capacity, that's another trigger for EMCR warming centers to provide support. And while they're not shelters, as you know, we are able to support both Indigenous and non-Indigenous governments with rental of facilities where private facilities aren't, or public facilities, aren't available or appropriate. And it has been recognized, particularly for those with addiction challenges, that is most it is absolutely recognized as a challenge, and it's not something that ESS or other volunteers are trained at working with. And I know that our various health partners are actively looking at that, but as you know, there is no quick fix to that challenge. So hopefully that provides some options there while we continue to work on the very complex vulnerable population challenges and how we can best support them during extreme weather events. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you, Ian. And before I go on to Anthony at NISC, Daryl, my apologies. I'm not sure if there's any remaining slides in your presentation. I thought I'd quickly circle back and see if there was any final thing you were presenting on.
Yeah, I got a couple of more topics here. And then, like I mentioned, there's that final slide on the house thing there as well. But yeah, I just got a few more topics, and then
for sure, okay,
11:20 here. Yeah, I think we're yeah, I can carry on for sure. No, that was a great conversation. Thanks, Ian, and thanks, Sabrina, for bringing those up there for sure. Like I said, we're here to learn. So yeah, absolutely. Anytime something comes up, don't hesitate to chime in. So I'll carry on here with my notes. Just again, emergency vehicles as well. So in these poor driving condition scenarios, or the deep snow or the black ice and things like that, emergency vehicles are going to have a tough time as well. So, you know, if you need the ambulance, for example, last year, an ambulance had gotten stuck over in Chalath after a big heavy snowfall, and they had to abandon their vehicle. Locals had to come and kind of rescue them. That wasn't easy as said as it was. A couple of local vehicles also slid into the ditch there at the same time, trying to rescue that ambulance. So they had to wait for the plow trucks to come along and kind of clear the road again before that ambulance was able to make its way back into Lillooet here. But they had to come up with an alternate plan. I'm getting to the reason why the ambulance was over there for that person to come to town here. So again, thinking outside the box. In a pinch, in a matter of a pinch. So yeah, but another example, just this past weekend, the highway snowplow truck had gotten stuck. I'm not sure how or why that occurred. Not sure if Susan or Nicole or anybody heard about that one there, but up on the Duffy Lake Road, there's the popular site there, Joffrey Lake site. People, you see it on the news or whatever, but even now, with all the snow that's there, the parking lots snowed in, so people can't park in there. So what they're doing is they're parking right on the highway. It's against the law, so the police show up, give everybody tickets, but still, in that time, they narrowed down that 2-lane road to a 1-lane road, and it's anybody that's been there knows that Joffrey area is kind of a windy. It's kind of steep, not steep, but it's a slope. And once you come down that hillside, you're committed. So if somebody's coming up, you're going to be in trouble for sure. So watching out for those kind of scenarios, especially those popular sites where people like to kind of hang out. Again, Modi crews will not commence any work at an avalanche site unless an assessment is completed. And so, yeah, so don't hang around, take a picture and just leave. Don't get out of your vehicles. Our local Dawson road maintenance crew, they do have an online reporting system as well. No account needed. You can just go on there and tell them what's up. Take a couple of pictures if you like. So the next one I have there is the house fires. Just a real quick one on what we had here locally last year. We had the 5 house fires. Yeah, so trained structure firefighters in our communities is starting to decline faster than we would like, as well as the equipment that's being used. Some of it's kind of dated. I did start working with Finesse. We started bringing it up a couple of years prior to that, but last year we started getting really heavy into, what can we do? What should we be doing here? So, oh, sorry, his name's slipping my mind right now, but Emerson as well. There was about 4 of us sat down last year and started coming up with a plan on how we can recruit and retrain and things like that, cross-train. Look at the vehicles. There's one community here who has the big fire truck, and they need air brakes and can't think of the class that they need, but yeah, nobody in the community is able to drive that truck. So the neighboring community has to go up and move that fire truck for them.
Class 3 with air brakes.
Class 3 with air. Yeah, thanks, Albert. Yeah, and I won't dive into the power outages there because we kind of hit that one off there pretty good. But yeah, just be sure to check on those elders and vulnerable people again. And if needed to, hit that warming center up and call the EMCR for some more information on that one. Boil water advisories, notices due to either reservoir issues or watershed issues from runoff. And then, yeah, just chimney fires again, candles, overloaded plugs, leaving food cooking on the stove unattended. Let's say you got to run to the store. You can be hit with any kind of a delay. So yeah, make sure there's always somebody home to watch that cooking. And then the space heaters, make sure you're leaving the space heaters away from any combustible materials. On the road, just plan ahead. Like I was saying, make sure that when you leave in the morning, maybe it's good, but have a look at the weather in the afternoon, or when you're coming back, maybe you're staying over the night. Check the weather, where you are when you get back home and where you're going. Check the road conditions. Make sure you've got a good battery. Make sure you check the cold cranking amps on it as well. Throw some jumper cables in there if you need to. I think Rachel went through a couple of those things earlier there, but yeah, if you get stuck in the snow or the ice, make sure you have a shovel. Maybe a tree will come down and you'll have to turn around or something like that, right? So have that emergency bag ready to go. I think I see a hand up.
Go ahead, Albert.
For the the fires and stuff like that, chimney fires and that, I've talked to 3 different companies, and each one of them said they would give you a better deal if you did your chimney sweep in May and June rather than wait until just before the winter gets here. So the rate would drop down to almost $60-$70 cheaper, some of them.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense, really. Thanks, Albert. So here locally, especially out in Chilliwack, we rely on that one road over Mission Pass and Highway 40. Like I said, when it got closed off there, did it get closed off last year? Gosh, I can't even remember now. But the atmospheric event definitely things definitely get a little more challenging for sure. And other people that use that road, logging trucks, forestry, hydro, TELUS, tourism. Don't get me started on tourism on that road. Folks come in. I've been after Modi for a little while now about changing the colors of these back roads, especially the Hurley, especially the Highline Road between St. Portage, Chilliwack to Darcy, Montgomery, Pemberton. When you look on the maps, that road looks, identical to Highway 1 or the Coquihalla. So tourists come around and they open up their Google Maps and they say, hey, look, there's a nice back road that'll take us along this nice, beautiful lake, and we'll end up in Pemberton and we'll get there in time for dinner. No, you won't. Not if you're not prepared. And 9 out of 10 of them aren't prepared. Just the wrong winter tires, no chains. They don't realize that they're going up and over a mountain. They don't realize that Highline Road is basically a single lane, steep, winding, lots of snow, lots of ice. So yeah, that's just my rant with Modi. They know I'm after them about it. We've had several conversations about it. And when calling in 911, dispatchers have trouble understanding our road systems here. So making sure that you have the correct address, your legal name. So if you're born and raised in your area and you say, I live 2 houses past Aunt May's, they're definitely not going to know where that is. The rock, you can't say we live just past that rock. They're not going to know what that means. My example, last year, a truck went off the road, just up the road here from us at the junction. Turn right, Highway 12, turn left, Highway 99. I said, there's an accident just like 2 minutes out of Lillooet, just past the junction where Highway 12 turns off. And that was my mistake because I said Highway 12. So RCMP came out, they hit the junction and they turned right. 20 minutes later, I got a phone call. They said, Daryl, we've been driving for 20 minutes. We didn't come across an accident. I said, no, you're supposed to turn left on Highway 99. The accident's like literally right around the corner, that very first corner there. So just making sure that you put in that descriptor really good, really clear. So things that we can do better. We've kind of gone over a bunch of these here already, but yeah, how to better prepare. Again, just number one, just being prepared, having that emergency kit, like Nicole mentioned earlier and a few others mentioned earlier. Opening up that warming center. Maybe now is the time to really learn and understand that process and review that eligibility list and what's fundable, what's refundable, what's reimbursable, that sort of a thing. Maybe reach out to ISC and FNHA and Finesse and others too, and see if there's anybody else that's got something available. Having that emergency plan, I think I mentioned already earlier too, is check in with your neighbors, stay warm. Have some flashlights ready and available, like Susan said. Check your batteries. Vehicles, check your battery in your vehicle, check your tires, top up that washer fluid with winter rated fluid, and then know before you go. Check the weather, check the roads, check in, have a safety check-in. Text your family, text your friend. I'm going to Kamloops for the day. I'll text you when I get to Cache Creek or Kamloops, and then I'll text you when we leave Kamloops and text you when we get home tonight, that sort of a thing, right? So just so people know, especially if the roads are icy and snowed in or something like that, right? So it's a good reminder. People expect you to hear from you by 6 o'clock. By 6:30, 7 o'clock, they don't hear from you. Then nothing that we know, because there's no cell service between here and Cache Creek. Like Albert said, clean the chimneys, and there's definitely some opportunities there to get that done. Have a home safety and escape plan. And in the case of a house fire, know who to call in your community, and are you properly insured? maybe another 2-minute break here, Casey, just to see if anybody else has anything they wanted to add on things that can be done better. I think we kind of hit this one pretty good already with other discussions that we've been having, but anything coming up in the chat box?
Yeah, Sabrina had to step away. She put some information. They have immediate supplies ready for house fires, blankets, hand warmers, mittens, and comfort kits on hand. Situational awareness of who lives alone, elders, those who have mobility concerns, who needs medical equipment or 24/7 on hands. I'm assuming on hand support. And then they need ESS trailers to house them while repairs are underway. And then another comment, invest in a battery booster for your vehicle. Yeah, if there's no other questions, and Daryl, I'm not sure if you're almost at the end of your presentation.
Yeah, just one more here. This house fire one. This was something I put together myself. This little flow chart here, just from the experiences that we had last year. A lot of the questions that kept coming up. So home fires, a home fire can become life-threatening in just 2 minutes. A home can be completely engulfed in flames within 5 minutes. What happened to my auntie here? She lives right in Lillooet in a trailer. She had a grassy field next to her, and the neighbors on the opposite side of that vacant grass field had a campfire going. Whether they left the fire alone or whatever happened, but the wind picked up, hit the grass field, raced across the field. Fortunately, my auntie had her window open that night, and the smoke came into her room, woke her up. She looked out her window. She saw a big wall of flames coming at her. Got her husband up. My uncle, who was visiting at the time, got him up. The three of them just got time. They only had time to get out the door before, but then they turned around and they looked back at the house, and the whole side of her trailer was already kind of engulfed there. So just you know, that's how quickly things can happen. So if you're in a house fire, you know, stay low and know where to go. Be sure you check those door handles before you open them. Check your fire, your smoke alarms every is it every month? Every month I think it is, or once a year. And then yeah, there's a little list of other supports if you're not properly insured. And then reach out to Finesse as well. That was one of the things that we were able to do last year to help a couple of the folks out. They were able to just kind of guide us along and send some folks out to be there for the families that were impacted by that. But I like this little flow chart. I came up with it last year, like I said, after a couple of those incidences that we had. So contacting ESS, the pre-op center there, and just getting a task number, and then getting Red Cross and all the other folks involved. Check your house insurance, check if you got contents insurance and those sort of things, and be ready to be self-sufficient for 72 hours, whether that's with family or friends. But yeah, I can make this little flow chart available to Casey and others if anybody's interested in making something similar like it. But I'll stop there. And yeah, Cooks, Jam.
Thank you very much. And there was a question in the comment if you can share your slides, and if you're okay with that, I can make sure they're included along with the link and the other materials.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that in that flow chart I have, I built my own little 4-pager house fire pamphlet. So I can share that as well, Casey. And these little where's my camera here? I'm gonna folks might have seen these before. Oh, does it say help or play?
Upside down.
Yeah, anyway. Okay, and help. You can get these from Rachel's site there as well. And I ordered a whole bunch of them. So yeah, you can put those in your windows, give them to your elders. If they needed some assistance, they can put those in their windows as people drive by.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And if you share your slides, I'll make sure that everyone in the circle gets it as well. I'm mindful of the time. We have agenda number 4, funding and supports provided, Ian and Anthony. And I know, Ian, you've already talked quite a bit about it. So maybe, Ian, if there's any really quick thing that you may have not covered? And if not, I'll turn it over to Anthony.
Oh, probably best to jump over to Anthony, Casey, and I'll hang around if there are any questions.
Sure. All right, Anthony Hadfield, thank you for being so patient with us.
No worries. Thanks, Casey. And thanks, Daryl. That was really informative. Very, very helpful. I'll keep it reasonably high level, Casey. So the supports we offer, similar to in relation to any other emergency event for winter and extreme cold conditions, we've got our preparedness and mitigation programs. So the main one we have there, which we can use to support communities as they prepare for cold weather and the winter, is the non-structural mitigation program. So you can use that to create your emergency plans, of which, of course, again, cold weather, winter conditions can be you can factor those in. Any risk assessments as well that you may want to do in relation to the kind of the risks and the hazards that we have at this time of year and moving through into the spring. You can put a proposal in for those as well. And also, we're able to cover small or relatively low-cost items of equipment through that. So the rule of thumb is anything under $5,000. So if there's anything specific related to preparing for cold weather, that might be something you could request through that program. So that's kind of the preparedness and mitigation. And again, our program is a little restricted in that it is basically for on reserve, realizing that you obviously have traditional lands and territories that you're also factoring in as well. But at the moment, the EMAT program, the Emergency Management and Assistance Program, is purely for on reserve. Now, in terms of response, obviously our first response is through EMCR. They provide that for us. We don't have any kind of support on the ground per se when something is happening. But we are able to supplement what EMCR can do in terms of we're often able to pay for things that they can't in a response. If something's happening, if there's an event happening and response is needed, EMCR can cover most things, but we are then able to cover additional things on top. So that's something to bear in mind, and that we would have that discussion as an event was happening. And then in terms of and actually this probably factors into response and recovery. We're able to cover evacuation supports on top of, again, of what EMCR do. So, for example, the road closures that cut some of the communities off, Lewis and Milkameen, I'm thinking of a couple of last week. I know that some of the community were evacuated, and we're able to cover things that they may need. Things like power outages. So they obviously quite frequent at this time of year, as we've heard. If the power's out for I think it's between 12 and 24 hours, we're able to cover spoiled food. So we're able to respond to that. And if it blows, if the power coming back on, if there's a power surge related to that basically your fridge or freezer goes kaput, we're able to purchase new fridges and freezers as well. The stuff that isn't covered by insurance. So again, we have that support as well. And then if there was obviously if there was a major landslide, for example, due to cold weather or extreme wet weather, there may then be a recovery. There may be recovery projects that your community needs after the event has happened. And again, as we would with any event in terms of like wildfire or flooding, we would become involved in that as well in terms of replacing any infrastructure that is lost on reserve. So that could be private houses or community infrastructure. So again, in terms of what we can offer, it's very similar to any other emergency event that we would deal with. Obviously, the fire's been the big one over the last few years, but I think this has been really good in terms of preparing for and raising the issue of potential things that could happen over the winter season. So again, that's the kind of the general overview, Casey, but happy to take any questions if anybody has anything.
Albert, I see you have a hand up.
I recently just submitted my EMAP, but it was mainly for wildfire because this is I just started in July, so I'm trying to get us set up for wildfire season. And I haven't really, I don't know what happened in the previous years for winter season. So what happens now that I submitted my work plan and budget and the EMAP and everything? Am I able to adjust as needed?
Yep.
Or do I have to keep resubmitting the EMAP application?
No, you can adjust, Albert. I assume it sounds like it's through the non-structural mitigation program. So yes, you can adjust if there's something changed and it hasn't been approved yet. We can possibly do adjustments after as well. You can also submit more than one. You're not restricted to just doing one. So if there's a few things that you need to do and other stuff comes up, you're able to submit another application. Basically, we have an annual budget, and we take applications and proposals until the money is exhausted for the year. And then we obviously start again for next fiscal year. So yes, you can adjust and you can submit other applications as well if there's other things that you need or want.
Okay, yeah, because I just applied for that UBCM EOC $30,000 grant.
Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to get a generator for our admin building that could be used for cooling station, weather, if there's a blackout and everything, because our admin building doesn't have a generator. So these are afterthoughts after submitting my wildfire thing, mitigation one for EMAP. But I'm going to be applying for the 30,000 from UBCM, and then I'm waiting for the quote because he came in already 2 weeks ago, and hopefully I get that quote back soon. Am I able to add the remaining fees after the 30,000?
So I think you're talking about the Union of BC Municipalities grant, Albert, which is not my program.
No, but
I'm with
the 30,000.
But you
like
can.
I'll get the 30.
You can submit stuff to us as well. Absolutely, you can submit for our non-structural mitigation program, and I can send you the application for that if that would help.
Okay, yeah, because I was just wondering if the remaining balance, because I don't think it's going to be $30,000 for a generator. Looking online and doing my own research, it looks like it's going to be like 80 to 100.
Okay, right, yeah.
So I was just wondering if the remaining, I can apply for the remaining balance through ISK.
Again, our NSMP, that would be a little too much for but there may be some other avenues we can look at. So we have the structural mitigation for our community infrastructure colleagues. That's the capital program. We could look at it through them and see if they can cover that.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Ian, I wonder if you could briefly talk about some other eligible expenses as per the policy for things like if there's extended power outage, cold event, and I'm thinking things like how do people keep on having food and fuel and other things that come to mind, just from what you've seen over the years with the different events.
Yeah, absolutely, Casey. And it comes down to a kind of case by case, because it's hard there, with extreme weather and well, pretty much any of the events outside of the more traditional, black and white, be it wildfire or flooding, which are more, I don't want to say easier, but they're more black and white in terms of financial supports, because unfortunately they happen all the time. But when it comes to weather, there's a number of things that can happen. So I think one of the presenters brought up fuel, actually, may have been you, Casey, where, for multiple days, our community was isolated and fuel and medication needed to be brought in. So that's something that EMCR can assist with. A good example of that was during the atmospheric river from 2021. Oddly enough, the most significant impacts from that storm happened 2 years ago today. Bit of an ominous anniversary with the Bluebird Day here in the Lower Mainland today. which we're happy to have. And we coordinated working with partner agencies such as CN Rail to move food, fuel, and medical supplies into the Fraser Canyon corridor. In other places where that was impossible, working with other partners such as the BC Wildfire Service and their aviation branch to fly in supplies, and in some cases, fly people out, working with FNHA and the health authorities to get people to health appointments. So don't really want to put a limit on the types of supports that we're able to assist or coordinate with. And it's really getting into that conversation, utilizing the 1-800 number, or if we have a pre-op coordination call where some of those challenges can be brought up, where we have the right people on the call or in the room at one of our pre-ops to sort it out. Hopefully that provides a bit of clarity, Casey.
Yes, thank you. And I think what you both alluded to and others is don't hesitate to ask if you have questions, and communities certainly can request a call with EMCR and ISC. And if they invite other organizations like Finesse, FNHA, or others, I'm sure we would attend if invited and say, how do we all kind of discuss what supports are needed and what we can do.
Absolutely.
So that's always a good suggestion.
Yeah, Casey, I just sorry. I put my contact details in the chat, and also as well as me, we have a program advisor for the 5 regions that we have in the province. So they're available to talk to any community and talk about the supports that we have in more detail or provide more information as needed.
Perfect. Thank you, Anthony. Are there any other questions by raising your hand or simply just kind of jumping in? We've covered a lot of ground and there's been a lot of really good information and great questions and information. And it's okay if we're done. We can reclaim 11 minutes of our day. And
Thank
if
you
there's
for the invite to this. This was really informational and much appreciated, knowing that we have support from multiple factors.
Thank you, Albert. And if there's no last questions or comments, I want to thank you all for taking the time. I want to thank the presenters for what was presented and the breadth of information and all the good comments and information sharing that everyone's provided. Truly appreciated. Just quickly checking the chat. So I will send an email out once I get this recording edited and a link, and I'll put in presentation materials. And I hope people who are interested are able to attend tomorrow's workshop, mainly put on by FNHA on communicable disease emergency planning. And if you haven't received a calendar invite for that, please email me. My email is in the chat. Thank you all and have a wonderful week.
Thanks, Casey. Much appreciated. Take care.
Thanks, Casey.
Casey, is that event or that meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. the DFO one? National Indigenous Engagement, or no?
I'm not, I haven't seen that one.
I think it's at 1 o'clock. I think that's the 1 o'clock, Albert.
I only have the JIBC training at 1 for some reason. So maybe can I get that link sent out to me, please?
Do you have Casey, or I can look for it?
Yeah, if you email me, I'll connect you with Daryl, or if Daryl shares me the link, I'll make sure you get it. I don't actually have it, so.
Okay, sounds good.
And Tina, I'll head out to you shortly. I sent you an email.
Hi, yes, I have received it. I resent you right back to you. Basically 12:45 is good. I'm in the office all day. I'm straight across from the main band office, and my cell number's in the email.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, you all have a good day.